Hello and welcome back to Coding with Carl. This is episode 18 of the Zero to Android series, the show where we push that boulder up the hill. And it's a heavy boulder indeed. Java is by far the heaviest language I have ever had the pleasure of using, and the Android API is equally as heavy and can leave you in a somewhat disgruntled state. I don't want that to come across today. I want to be positive, and I would like by the end of this episode for us to be halfway towards where we want to be, which is implementing a swipey sort of UI. Now, for people who haven't seen the show before, there is a YouTube channel where I upload all the previous videos. Let me just check that I actually pressed start recording. I did indeed. We're okay. So yeah, if you do a YouTube search for Coding with Carl, you'll see the Zero to Android show here, and all the episodes, the past 17 hours, are all within this playlist for your enjoyment. Now I recommend watching them at double speed because things can get a bit slow on here when I'm struggling with things, and really once your brain adapts, it's way better. So let's look at our to-do list. So here we are. We said that this time we would be able to implement a swipe to select date sort of workflow, and we got exactly nowhere with it because the gesture system in Android is very strange. Well, it's not strange, it's just uncomfortable to learn. But it occurred to me this morning while I was eating my breakfast, as things so commonly do, that even if we manage to get the swipe gesture in here and we manage to swipe left or right, that's a good start, and we manage to swipe left or right on this application, the underlying view here, this list, would not move with our swipe unless we put in even more complex code to animate the position of it as we kind of swipe either way. And I got thinking, okay, well, this is a fairly standard sort of thing that I've seen numerous times on Android, using Android day to day and using different Android apps. So there must be some standard way of doing it. And it turns out there's something called a ViewPager. And the way, from what I can see, the way it works is similar to our recycler view in that you have an adapter and you provide it with data. And if we turn this view here that we've got, this TodayView, into what we call a fragment, then we can page in and out fragments depending on which date we want to be looking at. So that's where I'd like to get us to. I'd like to do away with these ugly ass buttons here and replace this whole thing with a ViewPager view. Yeah, I don't know. Is that what we call it? I guess ViewPager view. So this is the documentation for it, and we also need to look into fragments because we're going to have to turn our today activity, or at least the meat and potatoes of it, into a fragment. So where should we start? Well, we should definitely start by cleaning up all the mess that we made yesterday and removing just everything that we tried to do because we were barking up the wrong tree. So let's do that. Of course, no Englishman is complete without his cup of tea, which is now going cold. So, what do we have in this today activity? We have this onFling method. We don't need that anymore. We don't need any of this event gesture management stuff, so let's get rid of all that. We also don't need to implement this gesture detector on gesture listener. Let's get rid of that, and this implements instruction. We don't need this gesture detector. We don't need this or this. Whoa, tiger, what are you doing? Okay, so let's get rid of all that. Things are getting simpler already. ZT, this is a really useful Vim binding for anyone who's interested in learning how to use Vim bindings. ZT takes the current line and puts it at the top of the screen. So we don't need that. dd, 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 of course, is delete line. Okay, is there anything in here that we put in? No. So if I remove all that crap, do we still build? Let's have a look. We still build, and can we still switch dates? Tomorrow, April. We can indeed. Friday. Yep. Now everything seems to be working as nicely as it was. What I'm not seeing is any of the events. I wonder if we nuked our database at some point. Maybe. Okay, so that's done. What do we do next? I guess we try and create a fragment. Let's just remove these import statements that we don't need. Save that. And I'm guessing that the way we do that is with some kind of new fragment, blank list, fragment with a +1 button. Let's just go with a blank fragment, and we'll call this planner fragment. Create layout XML. Yes, I guess. Fragment layout name, fragment planner. Include fragment factory methods, interface callbacks. Yep, let's do it. And of course, the wise thing to do is always to add it to version control. So here we are. This is our new planner fragment, and it comes complete with a bunch of comments, which I'm guessing are there to help us on our journey. So what do we have? A simple fragment subclass. Activities that contain this fragment must implement the planner fragment on fragment interaction listener interface to handle interaction events. Use the link planner fragment new instance factory method to create an instance of this fragment. Rename parameter arguments, choose names that match the fragment initialization parameters, e.g. arg item number. Ooh, this is strange, isn't it? So I guess this is like for key value storing, and I don't love it, but you know, it is smart to use constants. So I'm guessing the main things that we're going to pass into, in fact, the only thing probably we're going to pass into this fragment is the timestamp. So it'll be like arg timestamp, and we'll just call that TS, and we don't need that one. So private string, that's going to be timestamp. And really, I would prefer these not to be strings. I would prefer them to be integers. So I wonder if let's just read down a little bit more. Use this factory method to create a new instance of this fragment using the provided parameters. So param1 is TS, and that's of type. And here we're going to go, can I just make this int now? Timestamp. Maybe. We'll get rid of that second argument because I don't think we need it. And we will, so that's the key. This, of course, is an integer that never gets used. Planner fragment equals new planner fragment, bundle args. Here's the secret source, guys. So that, of course, will be put int, and we'll do arg timestamp. Set argument, return fragment. Okay. On create, this is bundle. On create, so we call the super first. If get arguments is not equal null, then param1 equals, well, that's okay. So I guess we need to do this again here, which is odd. Not sure why. Arg timestamp. What's the problem? Oh, of course. Int. On create view, layout inflator, container, saved instance state, inflate the layout for this fragment. So we inflate that layout there. And what else? Attached to root false. Okay, so rename method, update argument, and hook method into the UI event on button pressed. I don't need that, so I'm going to ignore it. And it's not an override function, so I should be able to get away with doing that. What's this? OnAttach, super.onAttach, context, fragment interaction listener, mListener equals throw new, okay. OnDetach, super.onDetach. I'm guessing this is to do with memory management. Not sure though, but it's probably important, so we'll leave it there. This interface must be implemented by activities that contain this fragment to allow interaction in this fragment to be communicated to the activity, and potentially other fragments contained in that activity. See the Android training listen, blah, 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 blah. Public interface on fragment interaction listener. Void. Not sure what to do with that. It's never used. Okay. Let's take our today, where are we? Our layout for activity today. Open it up and ooh, I want to delete these buttons. I feel like if I delete them, I'm committing to making this work, so that's probably a good thing. Let's just trash those. Let's live on the wild side, and we'll add a constraint to there. Now why, oh why, do we have this new issue? So that's constrained to the top and centered, but this down here, is it because of this? 16? Yes, it is. Okay, so that's pretty basic. We have a recycler view and a title, and I may want to replace. I want to get away from. At the minute, we're naming everything today, because initially we only wanted to be able to view today, but I think planet is a better name for things, so I may start changing these IDs. And I'm guessing the best way to copy this layout is to just copy the XML out of here. Now, I'm not sure about that, so let's have a look at Fragment Planner. Let's have a look at the XML for it. So we have a frame layout. Can we have a fragment that is a constraint layout? That's the question. So what do we have? We have width and height match parent, that's fine. Context is this. Update blank fragment layout. So text view. Okay, so I'm going to be really cheeky and just copy everything out of the other XML file, which has now disappeared. Where are you? There. I want you there. Okay, it really doesn't want to sit next to that one. There we go. Okay, so constraint layout here. Android ID today container, match parent. So it's a similar sort of thing, and we should be able to get away with copying the whole thing. So let's do go to the start. V-line and then G, that gives us everything, capital G. Yank, Y for yank, of course, and then we're just going to do the same thing here and press P. There we go. So I'm going to change a few things. The context. Okay, let me just undo a bit. Planner fragment. So what I'll do, I'll paste it in underneath and then VGY. and then we can kind of try and marry the two up. So this is missing. What do we have? We have res auto tools. Let's copy the context. What's the difference between a frame layout and, do you know what? Let's just recreate it. Because there's not that much to it really, is there? And we may just be causing headaches for ourselves. Let's get rid of this text view. We'll add a new text view for the title. I don't think this is a constraint layout, is it? Because can I change this? Convert frame layout to constraint layout. So let's get rid of the child views first. We'll convert it to a constraint layout. Okay. And then we will give it a different name. We'll call this planner container. Match parent, that's all fine. That's fine by me. And then I want my title there. I'm going to call that planner title. I want that 16 from the top and in the center, which it appears to be, that's fine. And I'm just going to leave the text as text view for now, because that's going to be done programmatically. And then I'm going to add a recycler view. There we are. Underneath it, I'm going to constrain this to this text view. Can I zoom in and do that? Is that cool? No. Maybe this gets constrained to here. I don't know. Do we have a constraint? That's the question. And 16 all around. I want the. Okay, I can't seem to. What's this? Break all constraints? Let's do that. Okay, so I want to constrain this to the top. I want it to come down. Let's break this constraint. There we go. Okay, that's fine. And then 16, 16. Whoa, what? What the hell? Width and height, match constraint, match constraint. This is quite a finicky thing. And 16. And then I guess we do need to constrain these to the sides and the bottom. Should always constrain to the bottom. And now look, we've lost our custom padding. I will get to grips with this one day. Alright, so kind of replicated the functionality that we have, or replicate the interface, should I say, that we have. I'm going to give this an ID of planner rec view. And I think I do need to start coming up with better naming conventions for these, because I have to remember them quite often and I do forget them. So that gives us something similar to what we have in our where is it? Activity today. And I think I may need to new call this now because we're not going to be using it. So yeah, I guess I'm just going to nuke everything. Gone. Okay, so now what we need to do is today activity. We need to start porting things across to our fragment. So this is one of the things we need to port across. Slot item. This is a little object that we created to help us populate the list. So let's move that from there to here. slot item. Get rid of these now because they are muddying up our code. We'll move that member down there. That's one thing ported across. Let's just move these two closer together. And what else do we have? Current timestamp. Well, that's just timestamp now. I think I'm going to leave that in there because I feel like that is going to be needed. I'm not sure, but I feel like it is. So I'm going to leave that there. This render function, we don't need that there. Everything inside this render function we do need, so I'm going to V and then go to the end of the line with the $, and then press the % to get the whole function. I'm going to take it and bang it into here. And I'm going to put it after the onCreate. And then we will have imports that we need to resolve. How do we do that? There we go. What else is missing? So current TS, that's going to be timestamp. And I do like to be explicit with this, so I'm going to go with that. We're going to need this class. Current TS, that's now timestamp. Timestamp. Text view, title. I feel like that should probably be a member. So I'm going to put it up here somewhere. Private text view title. And then this.title equals find view by ID. Ah, I can't do find view by ID in here. Why is that? Why is that? Is it because we have to do it inside this onCreate view method? Inflate the layout for this fragment. Let's have a look. Find view by ID in fragment. Use getView or the view parameter from implementing the onViewCreated method returns the root view for the fragment. This you can call, so onViewCreated. Where's that? That's not there. This only works, it works only after onCreate view, so you can't use it in onCreate. Can we override it then? On attach, on detach. Let's see here, N, override methods, created, on view created. So can we do view.find view by ID? We can. Let's create a mark here, MA, and we'll jump back up to where we were trying to do this, which is there. And we will delete this line, set another mark here, we'll call MD, jump back to A, and then, yeah. Can we do this now? Yes, we can. And this is no longer today title, this is planner title. There we go. All right, fingers crossed. Hi, are you an Android developer? This is a question from Hansi557. I am only an Android developer in the sense that I've spent 17 hours with with this. No, I'm not an Android developer. I don't do this for a job. I'm a programmer, but this is my first adventure into the world of Android development. So what was the other mark? It was D. There we go. So set the title. We've done that. I'm going to make this explicit. And here we're gonna need that was street. We're gonna need that. We're gonna need that, and we want to be explicit with this again. Array list. Another class we need. Recycle view, obviously. Find view by ID. We can't do that here. We're gonna have to create. We're gonna have to do this where we just did it. So. What was that mark? Was it D? Was it A? That mark has disappeared. Created. This dot slotless view, and I'm just going to call it recycler view actually. Equals find view by ID, and then that's going to be planner rec view. Okay, and of course that needs to be a member. GG. Private recycler view. Recycler view. Okay, D. We're back to here. And then slotless view. We're going to change this to recycler view. We're going to change it to this dot recycler view. So we're going to use a vim command. We're going to use S, which is replace. We're going to do slot list view, and we're going to replace all of those with recycle. We're going to do this dot recycler view, and hopefully that dot doesn't cause me any issues. Recycler view, recycle view. Globally, which means if it appears more than once on the same line, do it to all of them, and that's fine. So linear layout manager is missing. This one is missing. This context. Get activity. I guess that's okay. So every now and then, guys, I feel like I am making progress. I feel like I am learning. Okay, so I can't see any issue with this now, apart from this context here is wrong, so that should probably be get activity. And this looks like crap. So let's tidy up. Okay, so recycle view set adapter. This first parameter is a problem. Today adapter, where are you? What is your first parameter, sir? Was the constructor, wasn't it? There we are. Context. Needs a context. Slot item is missing as well. Yes, it is, because it's not that anymore. It is planner fragment. Slot item is there. And what is now the problem? Today activity.slot item is required. So let's do a search for today activity. There. That's going to be a planner fragment. That is going to be a planner fragment. and now we have no errors in there. Today activity.java, this is now buggered. Don't need these anymore. Tearing it apart, we're tearing it apart. Can't believe half an hour's already passed. Okay, so what are the remaining errors here? Who are you? There. This dot get activity. Okay, kind of scary, guys. Kind of scary, but maybe this is maybe this is a fragment now. We'll see. How do I add a fragment to a view? So this creates a fragment, adding a user interface. Okay, that's fine. Adding a fragment to an activity. Usually a fragment contributes a portion of the UI to the host activity, which is embedded as part of the activity's overall view hierarchy. There are two ways you can add a fragment to the activity layout. You can do it in XML, which we're not going to do, or programmatically, add the fragment to an existing view group. At any time while your activity is running, you can add fragments to your activity layout. You simply need to specify a view group in which to place the fragment. To make the fragment transactions in your activity, such as add, remove, or replace fragment, you must use APIs from the fragment transaction. You can get an instance of fragment transaction from your fragment activity like this. Fragment manager, fragment transaction. And then add a fragment using the add method, specifying the fragment to add and the view in which to insert it. For example, example fragment equals my new fragment, transaction.add, and then that's the container. Right, so that's the container in which you want it to go into, and then the fragment, and then fragment transaction commit. Let's try it. Let's do it in our onCreate. And this is going to be a planner fragment, fragments equals new planner fragment. And then we're going to do, how do we create a, we're going to need a fragment manager. Fragment manager equals get supports fragment manager. What's the problem there? Found required. Let's just try get fragment manager then, I guess. I don't like deviating from these tutorials, but you have to think to yourself when you're reading them. APIs change, and it's possible that the API has changed since this was written. So let's keep our fingers crossed that this more sane thing here is the right one. And we need a fragment transaction. And that's equals what? Fragment manager dot begin transaction. Don't like that. Don't like that at all. And do that. Is that okay? New planner fragment, and then fragment.transaction, fragment transaction should I say, dot add r.id.today container, fragment manager dot commit. How do I add arguments to this then? And that's transaction. Because I want to add today's timestamp. The first argument passed to add is the view group in which, once you've made your change with fragment, you call adding a fragment without a UI, managing fragments. Performing fragment transactions. Begin transaction. Each transaction is a set of changes you want to perform at the same time. You can set up all the changes you want to perform for a given transaction using methods such as add, remove, and replace. Before you call commit, however, you may want to add to backstack in order to add the transaction to a backstack. No. Transaction commit. In this example, new fragment replaces whatever fragment, if any, is currently in the layout container specified by the container. By calling add to backstack, the replace transaction is saved to the backstack so the user can reverse the transaction and bring back the previous fragment by pressing the back button. Okay, we don't want to do that. Okay, so fragment activity then automatically retrieve fragments, I think that's a typo, from the backstack via on back pressed. If you add multiple changes to the transaction, such as another add or remove, blah blah blah, that doesn't seem. I just want to pass in that timestamp. How do I do that? How do I do that? Is it something to do with this transaction? Dots. Add shared element. Attach. Commit. Detach. Disallow. Is empty. Replace. Set custom animations. Primary navigation. Show. Nothing there. Is it in the fragment? Dots. These are all getters. We want setters. These are all events. Register, request, set allow, set arguments, bundle. So bundle equals new bundle, right? Bundle dot add, bundle dot push, put int, and then we'll do planner fragment dot. What was it? It was arg timestamp. Arg underscore timestamp. Well, if I can't access this here, then what's the point? That's a static. That's a static string. That's private access. Okay. Public. Maybe I'm really barking up the wrong tree with this, guys. I'm not sure. I feel like that should now give me access to that. Why not? Why not? Public static final string. Arg timestamp. And I'm going to set that. I'm just going to grab today's timestamp from epoch converter. So we'll do that. Can I just have midnight, please? Hour. Not. GMT, please. That's the one I want. So I'll put that in there. Temporary. Set arguments bundle. Do you think it's going to work? I seriously doubt this is going to work. Let's have a look. Hi, SmartPlayer75. Welcome to the stream. App has stopped. and it keeps stopping. We've seen this before, right? Let's look at this and see if we can see what's going on. Unable to start activity, component info. Runtime exception. Must implement on fragment interaction. Yes, of course it does. Implements on fragments interaction listener. And now we have another error. Must be declared abstract or implement abstract method on fragment interaction. So, okay, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with it. Implement methods. There we go. What do I do with it? I have no idea what to do with it. Let's just log I call. Doing something weird. Run it. Okay, something happened. We are seeing the fragment because the text view's there, right? So that's good. Me only. What do I see? Current TS. So we're getting a bunch of stuff. I'm not sure we should be seeing that many times though. Let's jump back in here and current TS. So this is the message that is being sent out, which means that render is probably getting called a lot. And that's not great. We're not seeing reset to today, which means the timestamp is coming through. Oh, we are seeing reset to today, I believe. Let's just be sure. I don't like to make assumptions. Let's put in here call now in render. And run it, and we'll see what happens. Nada? Really? Really nothing? I wish I could clear this log. I really do. Clear log cat. Okay, so run this again, please. Oh, of course, render's never been called, is it? This.render. And now we see a whole bunch of new errors. Now in render, current timestamp is this. Is that the same one? 23200. 1523. Okay, so yeah, we managed to pass through. Before we stopped, of course, we managed to pass through the timestamp, which is good. And let's just have a look at this function now, because there will be some things that we can strip out of it. And one of them is that we no longer care about this notion of current day TS, because there's only one timestamp that's relevant to this whole fragment, and that is the one that we pass through to it. So this stuff actually needs to come out of here and go back into the today activity. So let's do that. We'll take this time zone and all the offset, the current day TS. So that should give us the top of the day, right? Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to take all that away and put it back in here. Fragment stuff. Oh, guys, time's flying today. I really wish I had more time. TZ. So what's the problem here? This.timestamp. Okay, so current TS is important. And what we're going to do is, this says get the default time zone, give me the number of seconds away from the UTC timestamp that our current time zone is, and then this current day TS, I guess that is just current TS, to be honest. So current TS equals an integer representation of that, and then current TS equals current TS. That gives us the UTC midnight time. And then this one here, current TS, we further take away the offset, which gives us a timestamp that represents midnight in our local time zone. And then what? This dot current TS equals 0. Then we change it to this. Okay, so all of that I just did should have been like this. Current TS equals current day TS. And then when we pass this through now, we can just do this dot current TS. Okay, so that we're back to just having today, and that's okay for now, as long as it renders. Let's jump back into our planner and have a look. So this top of day stuff, we don't need it anymore. Or maybe we do. If top of day equals current day TS. So do we want to pass in the title as well? Yeah, I think we do. So let's go back up and we'll bring back this notion of a second argument. Where do I want this to be handled? Does it really matter? I want this to manage its, yeah, I want it to manage its own. So all we really need to know is it today, is it tomorrow, or is it the day after? Or, you know, what the hell is it? So what I need to know is top of day equals timestamp, end of day equals that. Why do we need end of day? Where is end of day used? Oh, okay, that's used in the query. Current day TS. I do need current day TS. So I guess I need to duplicate this code. And maybe I will write a function that returns that at some point. So I'll bang in a to do. Write a function to get this as it's duplicated in the today activity. Okay. So if top of day equals current day TS, and where's top of day coming from? Top of day is coming from this dot timestamp. Is all that okay? Does that look okay? TZ, do we have TZ? Yeah, we do. Okay, so what's the problem now? Why do we crash? Why do we crash? Null pointer exception. Attempt to invoke virtual method set text on a null object reference. So where is this dot title? Because that's what we need to be. It's here. This dot title is null. So do we need to call this dot render another time? Perhaps we do it in the created this dot render here. There it is. There it is. And does everything still work? That is the question. So if I want to create a new something at 1:30, let's create a task, say sleep with no goal. There it is. We have fragmentized, if that's even a word. We've fragmentized our UI. Kind of feel like I get this eerie, this creepy feeling when things work. And I think, no, that's way too easy. Something must be wrong, but it seems to be working, and it recognizes that it's today. So the next step for us is to start looking at ViewPager, and I've got a feeling this is not going to be anywhere near as simple. Layout Manager that allows the user to flip left and right through pages of data. You supply an implementation of Pager Adapter to generate the pages that the view shows. I feel like what might be a better idea, rather than jumping into this right now, is give it an hour tomorrow instead, and take this time to look at some of the to-dos in the code and clean things up a bit. So first things first, this Today Adapter is no longer the Today Adapter, it is the Planner. Sorry, is it the Planner Adapter? Yes, it is. I want to start renaming things and looking at to-dos. So let's look at the things we've done today. We've got Planner Fragment. What are the to-dos in here? Do you know what? I think there's actually a to-do thing here. Yes, there is. Focus app. So I've got to-dos here. How badly we did? Yeah, don't care about that one just yet. Slot size. Yep. Don't care about that one. Rename and change types and number of parameters. What's this one? Yeah, okay. That one we've done. Write a function to get this. Should we do that now? Rename method. What's this one? Okay, so that one is not written by me. Update argument type and name. Okay, we've not really sure what to do about that one either, because that wasn't written by me. What's this? What are you? Where are you? Task activity. So this is task activity. Ah, okay. Why do we need time zone? Why do we need that CDF? So when we create the, okay, so we only actually need that. Okay, so this, what we need to do is get that, we need a time zone object, and it's going to be Piano Master XX, what's your IP address? Well, if you have to ask. Okay, so time zone TZ equals time zone dot get default, and I think we can just pass that through to this TZ, and let's just check that that works. Okay, so we create a task at 2 AM. It should say 2. Yep, it does. So we can get rid of that to do. And yeah, okay, I'm going to leave that as it is. This needs styling. That looks terrible. What else? Error handler. For what? This is... Okay, so we do put extra start activity. We do db.insert on that. Row ID would be 0 if it didn't get inserted. So I guess we can do something like if row ID equals 0 or -1. What does it return? Let's have a look. So Android SQLite insert. There we go. Returns a long. Doesn't say what. Returns the row ID or -1 if an error occurred. So if that is -1, then we have a problem, and we should probably do something with it. So we'll just write to the log for now, log.e echo stop. That's the 5-minute warning, guys. So if anyone's got any questions about things we've done today, please leave them in the chat and I'll try my best to answer them in a very charming fashion. What should we put here? We'll put insert error. Okay, that's another to-do gone. What else do we have? Slot size. Why does this work? Shouldn't it be V? Yeah, I'm a bit confused about this. I guess... Where is item view? Where is item view defined? Yeah, this is a really confusing one to me because that shouldn't work, I don't think. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to do v.getContext. I'm not sure why that works, and that scares me, but it's hey ho. Timestamp should probably be optional later on. What's that? What's that for? Task adapter. Okay, so yeah, that is... I'm going to get rid of that for now because it might not be relevant anymore. So that's okay. And we have one here to do temporary. It was temporary, no longer the case. That is my to-dos sorted. What have we done in here? So here we've turned our planner into a fragment now, which means we should, I'm going to put that in emphasis, we should be able to use ViewPager to navigate between days. Hopefully. The other thing I want to do is refactor things. Anything called today is misnamed now. Okay, and let's get rid of that. Okay, looks good. And as always, we'll check our changes into version control. Quite happy with the refactoring today, guys. This has gone well. Can I get to the end of the line, please? See, end of episode 18. We rolled back all the silly attempts at using the gesture system, gesture API, should I say. We turned our today activity into a fragment so that we can start trying to make it into... Did I do a new line there? Didn't mean to. Make it into a ViewPager fragment, and we will commit. Very good. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat, guys, so I just want to say thank you for joining me today. Hopefully you'll join me again tomorrow night at 19:30 or 7:30 p.m. UK time. Don't forget, if you missed any of today's episode, you can go back to Coding with Carl on YouTube, and this episode will be uploaded at some point in the next 12 hours. You can also catch up with all the previous hours we've invested into this there. And you know, do subscribe, guys, and drop me a like if you enjoyed any of it. Thank you very much. See you later.